All right, so you're getting ready for a geologist interview?
Yes.
That's exciting stuff. And we've got a stack of resources here from RoleCatcher to help you unearth those perfect answers.
Yeah.
Think of us as your guides,
Mm-hmm.
not just giving you the what they'll ask you, but the why behind it all.
Right. Like, it's fascinating to me how much depth there really is to properly preparing for an interview for this kind of role.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
It's not just about memorizing,
Yeah.
facts about rocks or whatever.
Right.
It's about showing them you can think like a geologist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of thinking like a geologist, let's dig into what this career actually entails.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's career guide paints a pretty vivid picture,
Yeah.
saying that geologists uncover Earth's secrets, everything from mountains to minerals.
It's interesting here. I think the variety is kind of a big thing.
Yeah.
The career guide mentions that you could specialize in earthquakes or work in mining or even focus on environmental protection. There's like a niche for almost every interest, it seems like.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's not all glamorous expeditions and digging up dinosaur bones.
Yeah.
There must be some challenges too, right?
Yeah, it's important to kind of be realistic about it.
Yeah.
The career guide does mention some downsides. Field work can be intense, long hours sometimes in remote locations.
Right.
And you're not always going to have all the data that you need
Yeah.
to make decisions, which can be stressful.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a passion career driven by a love for understanding our planet
Yeah,
that
definitely.
comes across loud and clear.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we've got a good sense of what a geologist does.
All right.
Now let's dive into those interview questions. We're going deep on examples from RoleCatcher's interview guide,
Yeah.
and these aren't your surface level tips.
Right. We're going beyond simple answers.
Yes.
And really exploring kind of the why behind each question.
Yeah.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really come in handy.
Oh, yeah.
It can tailor your responses and provide feedback that is really specific to the role that you're applying for.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal geologist mentor in your pocket.
Exactly.
Okay, so for our first question, let's look at one that really gets to the heart of geological problem solving.
Okay.
Describe a situation where you had to make a critical decision with incomplete data.
Ooh, yeah.
I can already feel the pressure.
I know, right?
What are they really trying to uncover here?
It's fascinating to me what they're trying to get at is they're really trying to assess your ability to think critically and make sound judgments, even with limited information.
Yeah.
Geology often involves dealing with unknowns.
Right.
So this skill is super crucial.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
You're working with ancient rocks,
Exactly.
fast time scales.
Uh-huh.
There are bound to be gaps in the data.
Yeah.
So how would you approach this kind of question?
I think the key here is to really structure your answer,
Okay.
to demonstrate your thought process.
Okay.
So start by describing the situation
Okay.
and the limited data you had to work with.
Right.
And then kind of walk the interviewer through the steps of how you analyze the available information,
Yeah.
considered potential risks and benefits, and
yeah.
ultimately, arrived at your decision.
Okay, so it's like, here's what I knew, here's how I thought about it, and here's the logical choice I made based on that information.
Exactly.
But it's not enough to just state your decision right.
No,
You need to back it up.
absolutely.
No.
Be prepared to explain your reasoning.
Right.
And the factors that you considered.
Yeah.
The interviewer might ask follow-up questions like,
Okay.
what were the potential consequences of your decision? Or looking back, would you have done anything differently?
Ooh, those follow-ups could definitely throw you off guard if you're not prepared.
Exactly. And that's what they're doing. They're testing your ability to defend your choices. Yeah.
And learn from past experiences.
Right.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you practice
Yes.
your responses to these specific follow-up questions.
Yeah.
And get feedback on, how you're delivering them and stuff.
That's so helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into another question that's a bit more technical.
Okay.
Describe your experience with geological mapping software.
All right.
Now, I know there are tons of different programs out there.
Yeah.
So how do you choose which one to focus on?
Well, it's really important, I think, to tailor your response to the specific job that you're applying for.
Okay.
So you want to look at the job description and see what software they mention.
Right.
If they specifically require experience with ArcGIS,
Yeah.
then that's what you should highlight.
Okay. So research is key.
Right.
And even if you haven't used the exact software that they list, you can still draw parallels to similar programs you've worked with, right? Absolutely. What's really important is that you're clearly explaining your proficiency with the core concepts of geological mapping.
Okay.
So, can you create cross-sections? Can you analyze spatial data?
Got it.
Can you interpret geological formations? These are the skills they're really looking for.
And just to clarify for our listeners who might not be familiar,
Yeah.
cross-sections are basically like slices through the earth,
Right.
showing the layers of rock and how they're arranged.
Exactly.
Super important for understanding the geology of an area.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Precisely. And, don't get bogged down in jargon.
Yeah.
Explain your technical skills in a way that anyone can understand.
Right. So let's say I've used ArcGIS to map geological formations for a research project.
Okay.
I should be able to describe that process in a way that even I can understand, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to mention specific projects or studies where you've utilized the software.
Okay.
This is where you can really showcase your expertise and what you've accomplished.
Okay, so I've explained my software experience, but what kind of follow-up questions should I be prepared for?
Well, they could go in so many different directions.
I know, right?
They might ask you to dive deeper into the specific features of the software,
Okay.
like how you create 3D models or analyze geophysical data.
Right?
They could also ask about your experience with different data formats
Oh.
or how you ensure the accuracy of your maps.
Oh, good ones.
Yeah.
And they might even ask about your experience with open source mapping tools or how you stay up to date on the latest software development.
Absolutely. Be prepared to discuss your learning process and how you adapt to new technologies.
Right.
This shows that you're a lifelong learner,
Yeah.
which is a valuable trait in any geologist.
That's fantastic. I'm already feeling more confident about tackling these technical questions.
Me too.
Okay, let's move on to a question that's a little more behavioral.
Okay.
Tell me about a time you had to work as part of a team to overcome a challenge. This one feels a bit more personal, like they're trying to get to know you.
You're right. This question is about more than just your technical skills.
Okay.
They want to see how you collaborate, communicate, and contribute to a team environment.
So it's not enough to just say, I worked on a team project in college.
Right.
We need to dig deeper and tell a compelling story, right?
Think of a specific example where you played a key role in overcoming a challenge.
Okay.
Maybe you had to coordinate data collection with the team in the field or analyze results and present your findings together.
Right.
Focus on your contributions to the team's success.
Okay, so I'm painting a picture of the challenge.
Yeah.
My role in the team and the actions we took to overcome it.
Exactly.
But what are they really looking for in this story?
Well,
What makes a good answer versus a great one?
a great answer will showcase your ability to communicate effectively,
Okay.
problem solve collaboratively,
Uh-huh.
and contribute to a positive team dynamic. Highlight instances where you had to actively listen to your teammates,
Yeah.
delegate tasks,
Right.
or resolve conflicts.
So it's about showing that I'm not just a brilliant geologist working in isolation,
Exactly.
but someone who can thrive in a collaborative environment.
Exactly.
And again, RoleCatcher can help me practice these answers and get feedback on how to make my story more impactful, right?
Absolutely. The AI can analyze your responses and suggest ways to highlight your teamwork skills more effectively.
This is so valuable.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to another question that often pops up in geologist interviews.
Okay.
How do you stay updated on the latest developments and advancements in the field of geology?
All right.
Now, I know there's a ton of research happening all the time.
Yeah.
So where do you even begin to answer this?
Well, this is a great opportunity to really showcase your passion for geology and your commitment to continuous learning.
Right.
So think about, the specific areas of geology that align with the job that you're applying for.
Right.
So, if it's a role in petroleum exploration, highlight publications and conferences that are related to that field.
Okay.
If it's a position in environmental consulting, focus on developments in hydrogeology or geochemistry.
So it's not just about saying I read scientific journals.
Right.
It's about being selective and demonstrating that your learning is targeted and relevant to their needs.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to mention any personal projects or research you've done in those areas.
Okay.
It shows initiative and a genuine desire to go beyond the basics.
Okay, so I've mentioned journals, conferences, maybe even some online forums or communities I'm a part of.
Okay.
What kind of follow-up questions might they ask to dig deeper?
They might ask you to elaborate on a recent development that you found particularly interesting.
Okay.
Or, how you apply that new knowledge to your work.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's a chance to showcase my critical thinking skills and show how I connect theoretical knowledge to practical applications.
Exactly. They might also ask about, your favorite geology publications or websites. Or even inquire about any personal research projects you're working on outside of your professional obligations.
This is great. It's all about demonstrating that you're passionate about geology
Yeah.
and dedicated to staying at the forefront of the field.
Yeah.
All right, let's tackle one more question before we wrap up this section.
Okay.
Describe a time when you had to adapt to a sudden change in plans or unexpected challenges while working on a project.
Right.
This feels like it's testing our flexibility and problem-solving skills in real time.
You're absolutely right.
Oh.
This question is designed to assess how you handle unexpected situations,
Right.
which are common in fieldwork.
Right.
They want to see that you're adaptable,
Yeah.
resourceful, and can think on your feet.
So how do we approach this without sounding like we're just making up a story?
Right.
It needs to be authentic and believable. Right.
Think of a real example from your experience,
Okay.
whether it's from a research project,
Yeah.
fieldwork, or even a lab setting.
Yeah.
And focus on the unexpected challenge that you faced.
Right.
The actions you took to adapt and the ultimate outcome.
Okay, so it's like we were mapping a fault line when a sudden storm rolled in.
Right.
We had to quickly pack up our equipment, find shelter, and reassess our plan for the day.
Exactly.
But what makes a good story versus a great one? What are they really looking for here?
A great answer will showcase your ability to remain calm under pressure,
Okay.
assess the situation, and come up with creative solutions.
Okay.
So, did you have to improvise with limited resources?
Right.
Did you need to collaborate with your team to find a workaround?
Mm-hmm.
Did you learn something new from this experience?
Right. It's about demonstrating that I'm not just a good geologist in ideal conditions,
Exactly.
but someone who can handle curveballs and come out stronger on the other side.
Exactly.
And once again, I can use RoleCatcher to practice telling this story
Mhm.
and get feedback on how to make it even more compelling.
Absolutely. The AI can help you highlight the key skills and traits they're looking for in this type of situation, making your answer truly stand out.
This is incredible.
Right.
We've covered so much ground already,
I know.
and I'm feeling much more confident about tackling these tough interview questions.
Me too. But we're not done yet.
Okay.
There's still more to explore.
Okay.
In the next section, we'll delve deeper into how RoleCatcher's AI can personalize your interview prep and help you refine your answers to truly shine.
I can't wait. This is going to be epic.
It is! Welcome back. We've already unearthed some great strategies for tackling those tough geologist interview questions.
Yeah.
But now let's dig a little deeper into
dive in.
how RoleCatcher's AI can really take your preparation to that next level.
I'm all ears. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but I'm really curious
Yeah.
how this AI actually works its magic.
It's pretty remarkable. RoleCatcher analyzes the specific job description
Yeah.
that you're targeting, and it pinpoints
Mhm.
the key skills and experiences that they're looking for,
Okay.
and then it helps you tailor your answers to
Mhm.
directly address those needs.
So it's like having a personal career coach who knows exactly what this particular employer is looking for.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
It goes beyond just giving you generic advice. It's
Right.
about understanding the nuances of the role
Yeah.
and crafting responses that resonate with that specific employer.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But how does it actually help me practice?
Well, imagine this. You've prepared your answer to a question. Like,
Okay.
describe a time you had to overcome a technical challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You input your response into RoleCatcher,
Okay.
and the AI analyzes it, looking for key phrases and concepts that align with the job description.
So it's not just checking for grammar or spelling.
No.
It's actually assessing the content of my answer
Right.
and how well it matches what the employer is seeking.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting. RoleCatcher provides personalized feedback.
Okay.
So it might suggest adding specific details about the software that you used,
Ah.
highlighting the impact your solution had, or even tweaking your language
Okay.
to sound more confident and results-oriented.
It's like having a mock interview with an expert who can pinpoint exactly where I can...
Exactly. This is invaluable.
It is, and this feedback loop is so crucial for refining your responses
Yeah.
until they're truly top-notch.
Yeah.
You know, it takes the guesswork out of interview prep
Right.
and gives you a really clear roadmap to success.
Okay, I'm totally sold on the AI aspect.
Awesome.
Now let's get back to those interview questions.
Right.
I'm ready to tackle a few more, armed with all of this new knowledge.
Let's do it.
How about this one? How do you handle conflict within a team setting?
Ooh, that's a tricky one.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to gauge how I deal with interpersonal dynamics.
You're right. This question is all about assessing your emotional intelligence
Okay.
and your ability to navigate challenging interpersonal situations.
Okay.
They want to see that you can remain professional respectful and solution-oriented, even when things get a little heated. So it's not about saying, I avoid conflict at all costs, right?
Right.
Because disagreements happen, especially in collaborative environments.
Exactly. They're looking for someone who can address conflict constructively.
Okay.
So think of a specific example where you faced a conflict within a team setting,
Okay.
whether it was a disagreement over data interpretation,
Uh-huh.
a clash of personalities,
Right.
or a difference in approaches.
Okay, so I've got my example.
Okay.
Now, how do I structure my answer to show them I can handle conflict effectively?
Start by briefly describing the situation and the nature of the conflict.
Okay.
And then focus on the steps you took to address it.
Okay.
So did you actively listen to the other person's perspective?
Yeah.
Did you try to find common ground?
Yeah.
Did you propose a compromise or a solution?
So it's about demonstrating that I can communicate effectively,
Yes,
consider different viewpoints, and work towards a resolution.
exactly.
And it sounds like staying calm and professional throughout the process is key.
Absolutely. They want to see that you can manage your emotions even under pressure.
Right.
And remember, the outcome of the conflict isn't always the most important factor.
Okay.
It's more about the process you use to address it.
That's a great point. Even if the conflict wasn't fully resolved,
Right.
I can still showcase valuable skills like active listening, negotiation, and diplomacy.
Exactly. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you analyze your answer
Yeah.
and suggest ways to highlight those skills even more effectively.
This is so helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to another question that often comes up in science-related interviews.
Okay.
Tell me about a time you had to explain a complex scientific concept to someone with little to no background in the field.
Right.
This feels relevant to geology because we often have to communicate our findings to stakeholders who might not be scientists.
You're spot on. This question is all about assessing your communication skills
Okay.
and your ability to make complex information accessible to a broader audience.
Right.
And this is a crucial skill for geologists who often work with policymakers,
Yeah.
community members, and other non-scientists.
Okay, so it's not just about knowing the science.
Right.
It's about being able to translate that knowledge into language that anyone can understand.
Exactly.
But where do I even begin to answer this question?
Think of a specific example where you had to break down a complex geological concept for a non-expert audience.
Okay.
Maybe you presented your research findings to a community group,
Mm-hmm.
or explained the risks of a natural hazard to local officials.
Right.
Focus on the techniques that you use to make the information clear and engaging.
So instead of just saying, I explained plate tectonics to my grandmother,
Right.
I could describe how I used analogies, visuals, or real-world examples to make the concept relatable.
Did you compare the movement of tectonic plates to puzzle pieces fitting together?
Yeah.
Did you use a simple diagram to illustrate the concept of subduction?
Uh-huh.
Did you relate the formation of mountains to the crumpling of a tablecloth?
Oh, yeah.
These are the details that bring your answer to life
Right.
and showcase your ability to communicate effectively.
Okay, I'm starting to get the hang of this.
Sure.
And of course, I can always use RoleCatcher to fine-tune my answer
Yes.
and make sure it's hitting all the right notes.
Absolutely. The AI can analyze your response and suggest ways to make your explanation even more engaging and impactful.
Fantastic. All right, let's dive into one more question that often throws people off guard.
Okay.
What are your salary expectations?
Ooh, yeah.
This one feels so personal and awkward.
I know.
How do you approach it without sounding demanding or undervaluing yourself?
You're right. This question can be daunting, but remember, it's a standard part of the interview process,
Yeah.
and they're not trying to trick you.
Okay.
The key is to be prepared, confident, and realistic.
Okay, so how do I even figure out what a realistic salary range is for a geologist in my area?
Do your research.
Okay.
Websites like Glassdoor and Salary.com can provide insights into typical salaries for geologists
Okay.
with your level of experience and location. You can also reach out to professional organizations or mentors in the field
Right.
to get their perspective.
So it's about gathering data and coming to the interview with a clear understanding of the market value for my skills and experience.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to express a range rather than a specific number.
Okay.
This gives you some flexibility in the negotiation process.
That makes sense. But what if they press me for a specific number?
Yeah.
I don't want to lowball myself or seem out of touch with reality.
If they push for a number, you can politely reiterate your range.
Okay.
And emphasize that you're open to discussing compensation further based on the specific responsibilities and benefits of the role.
Okay, that feels much more comfortable. And I imagine RoleCatcher can provide some guidance on salary expectations as well.
Absolutely. The AI can analyze salary data for similar roles in your area
Oh, wow.
and provide you with a realistic range to consider.
This is so helpful. I feel much more prepared to tackle that dreaded salary question now.
Excellent. And remember, confidence is key. Come to the interview prepared with your research, articulate your value clearly, and be open to a constructive conversation about compensation.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've covered so much ground, from technical skills to behavioral questions to salary negotiations.
We have, and we've only just scratched the surface of what RoleCatcher can do.
Okay.
In our final section, we'll explore how to take all of this knowledge and craft a truly compelling narrative for your interview, one that showcases your unique strengths and leaves a lasting impression.
Okay, we are in the final stretch of our geologist interview deep dive.
All right.
We've tackled tough questions.
Right.
We've explored RoleCatcher's AI magic.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to bring it all together and truly shine in that interview.
What's exciting now is we're moving beyond simply answering the questions.
Right.
It's about crafting a compelling narrative
Yeah.
that showcases your unique strengths
Yeah.
and makes you a memorable candidate.
I love that idea. So it's not just about what I know, but how I present myself and connect my experiences to what they're looking for.
Exactly. Think of it as storytelling with a purpose.
Yeah.
You're the protagonist, your skills and experiences are your plot points, and the interviewer is your audience.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do we start weaving this narrative?
Let's revisit some of the questions that we discussed, but this time with a focus on tailoring our responses
Okay.
to highlight those individual strengths. So remember that question about making a difficult decision with incomplete data.
Yes, that one really got me thinking.
Now, instead of just describing the situation, think about how you can connect your decision to the specific requirements of the job.
Okay, so let's say the job description emphasizes leadership and taking initiative.
Okay.
I could highlight those qualities by saying something like, even with limited data, I took the initiative to gather additional information from various sources, weigh the potential risks and benefits, and confidently presented my recommendation to the team, which ultimately led to a successful outcome.
Exactly. You've taken a standard answer and woven in those key leadership threads that they're looking for.
You're not just answering the question, you're showing them that you've got what they need.
This is brilliant. Okay, what about the question on staying up to date with advancements in geology?
Yeah.
How can we make that response stand out beyond listing journals?
Remember how we talked about tailoring your learning to their needs?
Right.
So let's say the job is in environmental consulting. Instead of just mentioning general publications. You could highlight a recent study that you read on groundwater contamination remediation
Okay.
and how that sparked your interest in this specific role.
So it's about showing that I'm not just broadly interested in geology, but that my curiosity aligns with the work that they do.
Precisely. And if you've got any personal projects that are related to their field, even better,
Yeah.
shows you're going above and beyond.
This is so helpful. It's like I'm handing them a puddle piece that fits perfectly into their company.
That's a great way to put it. And this tailoring applies to every question.
You know, think, how does my teamwork story highlight the collaboration style that they value?
Yeah.
How does my problem-solving example demonstrate the specific technical skills they need?
Okay, one last question for you.
Okay.
We talked about the explain a complex concept prompt.
Yeah.
How do we make that response truly memorable beyond just good analogies?
This is where that storytelling magic comes in.
Okay.
So instead of saying, I explain rock formations to a group,
Right.
paint a picture.
Okay.
Like, I was giving a tour to elementary school students, and I could see their eyes glaze over when I mentioned sedimentary rock, so I grabbed some sand pebbles and water.
Oh, I love that you're drawing the listener in. And then you can explain how your simple demonstration made the concept click for them.
Exactly. You've shown adaptability, a passion for teaching, and that you can break down complex ideas without dumbing them down.
I feel like I've been given a secret weapon for this interview.
And remember, RoleCatcher is your trusty sidekick. You know, their AI can help you tailor your CV practice, those storytelling answers, and get feedback that's specific to this geologist role. It's like having a whole team of career coaches in your corner.
Huge thanks to RoleCatcher for providing such an amazing platform. And to you, our listeners, best of luck on your interview. Remember, you've got the knowledge, the skills, and now the storytelling power to make a lasting impression.
And one last thought to carry with you, the career guide emphasized continuous learning. What's one area of geology that you find fascinating but haven't dived into yet? Explore it. That curiosity could be the spark that lands you your dream job.
Until next time, happy exploring.